The alarm clock buzzed at 5:30 in the morning, but Maya was already awake. She had been lying in bed for the past hour, staring at the ceiling of her small cottage. Sleep had become a stranger to her ever since she moved to this quiet town in Montana 3 months ago. Maya rolled out of bed and walked to the window. The sky was still dark, with just a thin line of orange starting to show on the horizon. Back in Chicago, she would have been getting ready for another crazy day at the animal hospital. 12-hour shifts, angry pet owners, and a boss who never seemed happy with anything. But that life felt like it belonged to someone else now. She pulled on her old jeans and boots. The morning walks had become her new routine. It was the only time she felt peaceful. The countryside was so different from the city. No honking cars, no sirens. Just the sound of wind through the grass and birds starting their day. Maya grabbed her jacket from the chair. It was getting colder these days, and she could see her breath in the air. Fall was coming to Montana, and she was starting to love the way the leaves changed colors on the trees. In Chicago, she never had time to notice things like that. The front door creaked as she stepped outside. Her landlord, old Mr. Peterson, kept saying he would fix it, but Maya didn't mind. It reminded her that this place was real, not some dream she might wake up from. The dirt path behind her cottage led into the open fields. Maya had discovered it on her second day here, and it had become her favorite place to think. The path wound through tall grass and wildflowers, past an old wooden fence that looked like it had been there for decades. As she walked, Maya thought about the phone call from her mom last night. "When are you coming back to the city?" Her mother had asked for the 100th time. You can't hide in the middle of nowhere forever, but Maya wasn't hiding. She was trying to find herself again. The betrayal still hurt. Finding out that David, her fiancé of 2 years, had been cheating with her best friend Lisa. The wedding invitations had already been sent out. The dress was hanging in her closet. Everything was planned and perfect, except for the groom who couldn't keep his promises. Maya shook her head. She didn't want to think about David this morning. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. This was her time, her peace. About a mile from her cottage, the path split into 2 directions. Maya usually went left, toward the small creek that ran through the valley. But today, something made her go right, toward the hills she had never explored before. The grass was wet with morning dew, and it soaked through her boots. Maya didn't care. There was something magical about being the only person awake in the world. Well, almost the only person. She could see smoke rising from the chimney of a ranch house in the distance. As she climbed a small hill, Maya heard something that made her stop. It was a sound she knew well from her years working with animals. A horse was in trouble. The sound came again, louder this time. It was definitely a horse, and it sounded scared and hurt. Maya's heart started beating faster. She knew that sound meant danger. Following the noise, Maya walked faster through the tall grass. The sun was getting brighter now, but there was still a mist hanging over the fields that made everything look like a painting. Then she saw it. About 50 yards ahead, near an old broken fence, a beautiful chestnut mare was tangled in barbed wire. The horse was struggling, which only made the wire cut deeper into her leg. Blood was already staining her coat. Maya ran toward the horse, her boots slipping on the wet grass. As she got closer, she could see the panic in the mare's dark eyes. The horse was probably 7 or 8 years old, with a glossy coat that spoke of good care. Someone loved this animal. "Easy, girl," Maya said softly, approaching slowly with her hands visible. The horse's ears flicked toward her voice, but she continued to struggle against the wire. Maya had dealt with situations like this before, but never without proper equipment. She looked around, hoping to see a ranch hand or someone who could help, but the fields were empty except for the 2 of them. The mare whinnied again, a sound full of fear and pain. Maya knew she couldn't wait for help. Every movement the horse made pulled the wire tighter around her leg. "I'm going to help you," Maya whispered, moving closer step by step. "But you have to trust me." The horse's breathing was fast and shallow. Maya could see she was not just injured but pregnant. Her belly was round with a foal that would be born soon. This made everything more urgent. Maya slowly removed her jacket. The morning air was cold against her arms, but she didn't notice. She had to stop the bleeding first. The wire had cut deep into the Mare's front leg, and Maya could see it would need stitches. "That's a good girl," Maya said, her voice calm and steady, even though her heart was racing. She had learned long ago that animals could sense fear, and right now this horse needed confidence, not panic. Using her jacket as a barrier between her hands and the barbed wire. Maya began to carefully untangle the horse's leg. The Mare tried to pull away at first, but Maya kept talking to her, explaining what she was doing. "I know it hurts," Maya said, working slowly and carefully, "but I'm going to get you out of this mess. You're going to be okay." The wire was old and rusty, probably left over from when this fence was built years ago. Someone should have cleaned it up, but Maya wasn't here to judge. She was here to help Dot as she worked. Maya pulled off her long-sleeved shirt, leaving her in just a tank top. The shirt was cotton and soft, perfect for wrapping around the wounds. She tore it into strips with her teeth, ignoring the cold air on her skin. The Mare seemed to understand that Maya was trying to help. She stopped struggling and stood as still as she could while Maya worked. It was as if the horse knew this strange woman was her only hope. "You're being so brave," Maya whispered, wrapping the cotton strips around the deepest cuts. The bleeding was slowing down, which was good. "Someone takes really good care of you. I bet they're worried sick." The sun was fully up now, warming Maya's back as she worked. Birds were singing in the nearby trees, and she could hear cattle lowing in the distance. It was the kind of morning that made her glad she had left the city. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably only 30 minutes, Maya had freed the Mare's leg from the wire. The horse stood quietly, favoring the injured leg, but no longer trapped. Maya stepped back, exhausted but relieved. Her clothes were dirty and torn, her hands were scratched from the wire, but the horse was free. The Mare looked at her with those intelligent dark eyes, and Maya swore she could see gratitude. "There. Now what?" Maya asked out loud, looking around the empty field. She needed to find this horse's owner, and the Mare needed proper medical attention. The makeshift bandages would hold for a while, but those cuts needed to be cleaned and stitched. By a veterinarian, the Mare took a careful step toward Maya, as if saying thank you. Maya reached out and gently touched the horse's neck. Her coat was soft and well-groomed. This was definitely someone's beloved animal, not a wild horse. As Maya stood there in the morning sun, covered in dirt and blood, holding the reins of a horse she had just rescued, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. She felt useful. She felt like herself again. For the first time since leaving Chicago, Maya wondered if maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Cole had been awake since 4 in the morning. It wasn't by choice. Sleep had become something that came and went like the seasons, unpredictable and often unwelcome. He sat on the edge of his bed in the small cabin he called home, listening to the silence that filled the hours before dawn. 3 years. It had been 3 years since the accident, and mornings were still the hardest part of his day. That's when he missed Rebecca the most. She used to wake up before him, making coffee in their little kitchen, humming songs that she claimed didn't have names but somehow always made perfect sense. Cole pulled on his worn jeans and boots. The leather was cracked from years of ranch work, but they fit his feet like old friends. He grabbed his hat from the hook by the door and stepped outside into the cool Montana air. The riverside ranch stretched out before him in the pre-dawn darkness. 20,000 acres of rolling hills, pastures, and memories. Cole had been the foreman here for 8 years now, ever since he came back from his second tour overseas. The job had saved him then, giving him purpose when he thought he had lost everything. Now it was saving him again in a different way. He walked to the barn where his horse, Thunder, was waiting. The black gelding nickered softly when he saw Cole approaching. Animals had always understood him better than people. They didn't ask questions about why he preferred to work alone or why he sometimes got quiet when everyone else was laughing. "Morning." "Boy," Cole whispered, running his hand along Thunder's neck. "We got a job to do." Yesterday evening, one of the ranch hands had reported that Luna was missing from the herd. Luna was special. She was Mr. Henderson's prize moray, pregnant with her first foal and due any day now. The old man had raised Luna from a filly, and losing her would break his heart. Cole had organized a search party, but darkness had forced them to stop. Now, as the first hints of light appeared on the horizon, he was starting the search again. At this time he was going alone. Sometimes it was easier to think when you didn't have other people talking in your ear, he saddled Thunder. Quickly and quietly. The barn was peaceful at this hour, filled with the soft sounds of horses breathing and shifting in their stalls. Cole had always loved this time of day, when the world felt clean and full of possibilities. As he rode out toward the eastern pastures, Cole thought about the conversation he'd had with his sister Jenny the night before. She had called from Denver, like she did every week, checking on him. "You can't live like a hermit forever," she had said. "Rebecca wouldn't want you to be alone for the rest of your life." Cole knew she was right, but knowing something and feeling it were two different things. Rebecca had been his everything. His wife, his best friend, his partner in all the dreams they had made together. When that drunk driver ran the red light and took her away, he had taken Cole's future with her. The sun was starting to rise now, painting the sky in soft colors that reminded Cole of the watercolors Rebecca used to paint. She wasn't very good at it, but she loved trying. He still had her paintings hanging in the cabin, even though looking at them sometimes made his chest feel tight. Thunder carried him up a hill that overlooked the valley below. This was Cole's favorite spot on the ranch. You could see for miles, in every direction, and it was quiet enough to hear your own thoughts. He pulled out his binoculars and started scanning the fields below for any sign of Luna. That's when he saw something that made him stop and look twice. Down in the meadow near the old fence line, there was a woman kneeling next to what looked like a horse. Cole adjusted the focus on his binoculars and felt his breath catch. It was Luna, and she was tangled in the old barbed wire that Mr. Henderson had been meaning to clean up for months. But what surprised Cole even more was the woman. She wasn't one of the ranch hands or anyone he recognized from town. She looked like she might be from the city, with her clean jacket and the way she moved carefully around Luna. Most city people would have called for help or run away. This woman was doing neither. Cole watched as she slowly approached Luna, talking to her in a voice too soft for him to hear. The Marais was clearly scared and hurt, but instead of panicking, the woman seemed to know exactly what she was doing. "Well, I'll be damned," Cole whispered to himself. He had been ready to ride down and help, but something made him stay where he was. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the way Luna seemed to be responding to this stranger's gentle touch. The horse had stopped struggling and was standing still, as if she trusted this woman she had never met before. Cole had been around horses his whole life. He knew how they thought, how they reacted to different people. Horses were honest. They didn't lie or pretend. If Luna was letting this woman help her, it meant the woman had something special about her. Through his binoculars, Cole watched as the woman took off her jacket and then her shirt, tearing the fabric to make bandages. She was shivering in the cold morning air, but she kept working, carefully freeing Luna's leg from the wire and wrapping the wounds. Something about the scene reminded Cole of Rebecca. Not the way the woman looked, but the way she moved with such caring purpose. Rebecca had been like that too, always putting other people's needs before her own comfort. She would have done the same thing for an injured animal, even if it meant getting her clothes dirty or being late for work. Cole felt something stir in his chest that he hadn't felt in 3 years. It wasn't quite attraction, not yet, but it was something. Interest, maybe, respect. This stranger was showing more heart and courage. In one morning than most people showed in a lifetime, he continued watching as the woman finished her work. Luna was free now, standing quietly next to her rescuer. The makeshift bandages weren't perfect, but they were good enough to stop the bleeding and protect the wounds until proper medical care could be found. Cole knew he should ride down and introduce himself. Luna belonged to his ranch, after all. And this woman had just saved them a lot of trouble and heartache, but something held him back. Maybe it was the peaceful way the morning sun was lighting up the scene below, or maybe it was the way the woman was gently stroking Luna's neck. like they were having a private conversation for the first time in years. Cole wasn't thinking about Rebecca or the accident or all the things he had lost. He was thinking about this mysterious woman who had appeared out of nowhere and shown such kindness to a creature she didn't even know. Thunder shifted beneath him, eager to get moving. Cole realized he had been sitting there for almost 2 hours, just watching. The woman was looking around now, probably trying to figure out what to do next. She couldn't just leave Luna there, but she also couldn't know where the horse belonged. Cole made a decision. He would ride down and meet her, but he would approach slowly. He didn't want to scare her or make her feel like she had done something wrong. She had done everything right, more right than most trained ranch hands would have managed. As he guided Thunder down the hill toward the meadow, Cole felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time. He felt nervous. Not the bad kind of nervous. That came with worry or fear, but the good kind that came with possibility. He didn't know who this woman was, or why she had been walking alone in the fields at dawn. But he knew one thing for certain: she had just changed his morning. And maybe, if he was lucky, she might change a lot more than that. The sun was fully up now, warming the air and chasing away the mist that had hung over the fields. It was going to be a beautiful day, Cole realized. The first beautiful day he had noticed in longer than he cared to remember. Maya stood in the middle of the field, holding Luna's makeshift lead rope, wondering what on earth she was supposed to do next. The sun was getting higher, and she could feel it warming her bare arms. Her torn shirt was wrapped around the mare's leg, and her jacket was ruined from the blood and dirt. She looked around the empty countryside, hoping to see a farmhouse or maybe another person walking their dog. But there was nothing except rolling hills, scattered trees, and the sound of birds singing their morning songs. Maya had never felt quite so alone, even though she had Luna for company. "Well, girl," Maya said to the mare, "I guess we need to find where you belong." Luna nickered softly and nuzzled Maya's shoulder. Despite everything that had happened, the horse seemed calm now. Maya could see the intelligence in her dark eyes, and something else too. Trust. This beautiful animal trusted her, a complete stranger who had stumbled into her life by accident. Maya started walking slowly toward the hills, hoping she might spot a ranch or find someone who could help. Luna followed beside her, limping slightly but managing to keep up. Every few steps, Maya would stop and check the bandages, making sure they were still secure. The grass was getting drier as they walked, and Maya realized they were moving away from the creek that ran through the valley. She hoped that was the right direction, but honestly she had no idea where she was going. The countryside all looked the same to her city eyes. That's when she heard it. The sound of hoofbeats coming from behind them. Maya turned around and saw a rider approaching on a black horse. Her heart started beating faster. She didn't know if this was good news or bad news. Maybe the rider was Luna's owner, relieved to find his missing horse. Or maybe Maya was trespassing on someone's land and was about to get in trouble. The rider was still too far away to see clearly, but Maya could tell it was a man by the way he sat in the saddle. He rode like someone who had been doing it his whole life, moving with his horse instead of fighting against it. Maya had always admired people who could ride like that. As the rider got closer, Maya could see he was wearing a cowboy hat and boots. He looked like he belonged out here in a way that Maya definitely did not. She was suddenly very aware of how she must look, standing in a field in her tank top and torn jeans. Covered in dirt and horse blood, the man slowed his horse to a walk as he approached. Maya noticed he kept his hands visible and his movements slow, probably so he wouldn't spook Luna. That was considerate, she thought. Someone who knew about horses. When he was about 20 feet away, the rider stopped completely. Maya got her first good look at him, and she felt her breath catch slightly. He was younger than she had expected, maybe in his early 30s, with dark hair that stuck out from under his hat. His face was tanned from working outdoors, and he had the kind of quiet confidence that came from knowing exactly who you were and where you belonged, but it was his eyes that caught Maya's attention. They were a deep brown, almost the same color as Luna's, and they held a sadness that Maya recognized. She had seen that same look in her own mirror for months after David's betrayal. Morning, the man said, touching the brim of his hat politely. His voice was deep and gentle, with just a hint of a Western accent. Good morning, Maya replied, suddenly feeling nervous. I hope I'm not trespassing. I found this horse caught in some old barbed wire, and I was trying to figure out where she belongs. The man's eyes moved from Maya to Luna, taking in the makeshift. Bandages and the horse's calm demeanor. Something flickered across his face that Maya couldn't quite read. Surprise, maybe, or approval? This is Luna, he said, dismounting from his horse with an easy grace. She belongs to Riverside Ranch. I'm Cole, the foreman there. Maya felt relief wash over her. Oh, thank goodness. I was worried I'd never find her owner. She's hurt pretty badly and she's pregnant. I did what I could, but she needs proper medical attention. Cole walked slowly toward Luna, and Maya was impressed by how the Mari immediately relaxed at his approach. He clearly knew this horse well, and she knew him too. Luna, girl, Cole said softly, running his hand along the Mari's neck. You was quite a scare. He knelt down to examine Maya's bandage work, and Maya found herself holding her breath, waiting for his judgment. She had done her best with what she had, but she wasn't a veterinarian yet. Just someone who had worked around animals long enough to know the basics. Cole looked up at her with those serious brown eyes. This is good work, he said, and Maya felt a warm glow of pride. You probably saved her leg, maybe even her life. Where did you learn to do this? I worked at an animal hospital back in Chicago, Maya said. I'm not a vet, but I picked up a few things over the years. Chicago, Cole repeated, like he was trying to place her in this rural Montana landscape. That's a long way from here. Yes, it is, Maya agreed, not sure how much of her story she wanted to share with this stranger. I moved here a few months ago. There was something about the way Cole was looking at her that made Maya feel self-conscious. Not in a bad way, exactly, but like he was really seeing her, not just glancing at her the way most people did. It had been a long time since anyone had looked at her like that. I've got a trailer back at the ranch, Cole said, standing up and brushing the dirt off his knees. I can go get it and come back for Luna, but first, let me give you a ride back. To town, you must be cold. Only then did Maya realize she was shivering. The morning air was still cool, and she had been running on adrenaline for the past few hours. Now that the immediate crisis was over, she was starting to feel the cold. I don't want to be any trouble, Maya said. I can walk back to my place. Where do you live? Cole asked. The little cottage behind Peterson's farm, Maya said. Cole nodded. That's a good 3 miles from here, and you're not exactly dressed for a long walk. He said it kindly, without making her feel foolish. Maya looked down at herself and almost laughed. She really was a mess. I guess I didn't plan this morning very well. For the first time, Cole smiled, and Maya felt something flutter in her chest. His whole face changed when he smiled, the sadness lifting from his eyes for just a moment. I don't think anyone plans for mornings like this, he said. Come on, Thunder here is big enough to carry 2 people, and he's got good manners. Maya hesitated. She had been living like a hermit for months, avoiding people and keeping to herself. But standing here in this field, looking at this kind stranger who clearly cared about his animals, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. She felt safe. What about Luna? Maya asked. She'd be fine for a little while, Cole said. The bandages will hold, and she's calm now. I'll call my boss and have him bring the trailer while I get you home. Maya nodded, realizing she didn't really have much choice. She couldn't walk 3 miles in her condition. And Cole seemed like someone she could trust. Cole helped her up onto Thunder's back, his hand steady and respectful. Maya settled behind the saddle, trying not to think about how close she was to this man she had just met. Thunder was indeed well-mannered, standing perfectly still while they got situated. As they rode slowly across the field, Luna following beside them at her own pace, Maya found herself relaxing for the first time all morning. There was something peaceful about the rhythm of the horse's walk and the warmth of the sun on her back. Thank you, she said quietly. For helping me, I mean. And for not making me feel stupid about wandering around your property. You weren't wandering, Cole said. You were helping. There's a difference. Maya smiled, even though he couldn't see her face. Still, thank you. They rode in comfortable silence for a while, and Maya found herself noticing things she had missed during her panicked walk earlier. The way the morning light made the grass look golden, the sound of cattle in the distance, the solid, reassuring presence of the man in front of her. For the first time since leaving Chicago, Maya wondered if, maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 2 weeks had passed since that morning in the field, and Maya found herself thinking about Cole more than she wanted to admit. Dr. Martinez, the local veterinarian, had done a wonderful job fixing Luna's leg. The cuts were healing nicely, and the Mare was getting stronger every day. Maya told herself she was only visiting the ranch to check on Luna's progress. After all, she had been the one to find the injured horse. It was natural to want to make sure everything was okay. But deep down, she knew that wasn't the whole truth. The truth was that Cole had been different from anyone she had ever met. There was something about his quiet strength and the gentle way he handled the animals that made her feel calm in a way she hadn't felt in months. This particular morning, Maya drove her old Honda down the dirt road that led to Riverside Ranch. The truck she had bought when she moved to Montana was more practical, but it was also having engine trouble, and she couldn't afford to fix it right now. The ranch looked beautiful in the early morning light. Rolling green pastures stretched as far as she could see, dotted with cattle and horses. In the distance, the mountains rose up like giant guardians watching over the valley. Maya parked near the main barn and got out of her car. She could hear voices coming from inside, and the familiar sounds of horses moving around in their stalls. It was a peaceful sound that reminded her why she had always loved working with animals. "Maya!" A voice called out, and she turned to see Cole walking toward her from the corral. He was leading a young colt that danced and pranced beside him, full of energy and curiosity. "Good morning," Maya said, feeling that familiar flutter in her chest when she saw him smile. "How's Luna doing today?" "See for yourself," Cole said, nodding toward the paddock where Luna was grazing peacefully. The Murray looked healthy and content, and Maya could see that her pregnancy was progressing well. "She looks wonderful," Maya said, genuinely pleased. "The bandages came off okay?" "Yesterday," Cole confirmed. "Dr. Martinez said you did everything right. If you hadn't found her when you did, we might have lost both Luna and her foal." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest at the praise. It had been a long time since anyone had made her feel useful or appreciated for her skills with animals. "I brought some apples," Maya said, pulling a bag from her car. "I thought Luna might enjoy them." Cole's eyes lit up. "She loves apples. Come on, I'll show you." They walked together toward the paddock, and Maya was struck again by how comfortable she felt around Cole. He didn't try to fill every silence with chatter like David used to do. Instead, he seemed to understand that sometimes the best conversations happened without words. Luna lifted her head when she saw them approaching, and Maya swore the Mare remembered her. The horse walked over to the fence, nickering softly in. "Greeting. Hey there, beautiful," Maya said, offering Luna an apple through the fence rails. "You're looking so much better." Cole watched as Maya interacted with the Mare, and Maya could feel his eyes on her. But it didn't make her uncomfortable the way it might have with someone else. Cole's attention felt respectful, not demanding. "You have a gift with animals?" Cole said quietly. "Luna's not usually this friendly with strangers." "I don't feel like a stranger to her," Maya admitted. "We went through something together that morning." Cole nodded like he understood exactly what she meant. "Shared experiences create bonds," he said. "That's something I learned in the military." This was the first time Cole had mentioned his past, and Maya felt curious, but she didn't want to pry. She had her own painful history that she wasn't ready to share with just anyone. "Were you deployed overseas?" she asked gently. "2 tours in Afghanistan," Cole said, his voice neutral. "Came back about 10 years ago and started working here. Mr. Henderson gave me a job when I needed one most." Maya heard something in his voice that made her look at him more closely. There was pain there, old pain that had been carefully tucked away but never fully healed. "It must have been hard," she said simply. Coming back to civilian life. Cole was quiet for a moment, stroking Luna's neck through the fence. Yeah, it was, he finally said. But this place helped. Working with the animals, being outdoors, having a purpose. It saved me in a lot of ways. Maya understood. She thought about her own escape from Chicago, how she had been running from her old life and trying to find something that felt real and meaningful. What about you? Cole asked. What brought you all the way from Chicago to our little corner of Montana? Maya felt her chest tighten. She hadn't talked about David or the wedding or any of it with anyone since she moved here. But, looking at Cole's kind eyes, she found herself wanting to tell him the truth. I was engaged, she said slowly. The wedding was supposed to be in June. Everything was planned, the church was booked, the invitations were sent out. She paused, taking a deep breath. Then I found out he was cheating with my best friend. Cole's jaw tightened, and Maya saw anger flash in his eyes. Not anger at her, she realized, but anger for her. I'm sorry, he said, and she could tell he really meant it. That must have been devastating. It was, Maya admitted. I felt like such a fool. Everyone knew except me. They had been going behind my back for months, maybe longer. I couldn't stay in Chicago after that. Too many memories, too many people who looked at me with pity. So you came here, Cole said. So I came here, Maya agreed. I saw an ad online for the cottage rental, and it seemed like the perfect place to disappear for a while. Cole was quiet for a moment, and Maya worried she had shared too much. But when he spoke, his voice was gentle. I know what it's like to need a place to heal, he said. I lost my wife 3 years ago. Car accident. Maya felt her heart clench with sympathy. Oh, Cole, I'm so sorry. Rebecca, Cole said, and Maya could hear the love in his voice when he said the name. We were married for 5 years. She was everything to me. When she died, I didn't think I'd ever feel whole again. They stood in comfortable silence, both lost in their own memories. Maya felt a connection to Cole that went beyond attraction. They were both wounded, both trying to find their way back to something that felt like living instead of just surviving. She would have liked you, Cole said suddenly. Rebecca, I mean. She always said I needed to meet more people who understood animals the way I do. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. I wish I could have met her. She would have been impressed by what you did for Luna, Cole continued. She always said that true character shows in how someone treats creatures that can't help themselves. They spent the next hour walking around the ranch, with Cole showing Maya the different animals and explaining how the operation worked. Maya found herself fascinated by the complexity of running a place like this, and Cole seemed to enjoy having someone genuinely interested in what he did. When it was time for Maya to leave, Cole walked her back to her car. As she got behind the wheel, he leaned down to the window. Maya, he said, and she loved the way her name sounded in his voice. Would you like to come back tomorrow? Luna's due any day now, and I thought you might want to be here when the foal is born. Maya's heart skipped. Really? You'd want me here for that? You're part of Luna's story now, Cole said with a smile. It only seems right. As Maya drove away from the ranch, she caught herself smiling in the rearview mirror. For the first time in months, she was looking forward to tomorrow. And for the first time since David's betrayal, she was beginning to think that maybe her broken heart might actually heal after all. The phone rang at 2 a.m, jolting Maya from a deep sleep. She fumbled for her cell phone on the nightstand, squinting at the bright screen in the darkness of her cottage. Maya? Cole's voice came through, urgent but trying to stay. Come, it's time, Luna's in labor. Maya was instantly awake, her heart racing with excitement and worry. How long has she been at it? About an hour, Cole said. Her water broke around 1 o'clock. Can you make it out here? I'm on my way, Maya said, already throwing back her covers and reaching for the clothes she had laid out just in case. Give me 20 minutes. She had been waiting for this call for 3 days. Luna had been showing all the signs that her foal was coming soon, and Cole had promised to call Maya when it happened. Maya had barely slept, jumping at every sound. Worried she might miss the birth of the baby she had helped save, the drive to the ranch felt like it took forever. even though Maya pushed her car as fast as she dared on the winding country roads. The night was clear and cold, with stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. Under any other circumstances, Maya would have thought it was beautiful when she pulled up to the barn. She could see light spilling out from the open doors. Coal's truck was parked nearby, and she could hear Luna's occasional nicker from inside. Maya grabbed the emergency kit she had put together and hurried toward the barn. The scene inside took her breath away. Luna was in the large foaling stall, lying on her side on a bed of fresh straw. Cole was kneeling beside her, one hand on her neck, speaking to her in low, soothing tones. The Murray was breathing hard, and Maya could see the strain in her dark eyes. "How's she doing?" Maya asked quietly, not wanting to startle Luna. "Good so far," Cole said, looking up at her with relief in his eyes. "I'm glad you're here. Dr. Martinez is on another call, a difficult cabin about an hour away. It's just us for now." Maya knelt down beside Cole, close enough that their shoulders touched. She could feel the warmth radiating from his body, and it was comforting in the cool night air of the barn. "You've done this before, right?" Maya asked, suddenly feeling the weight of responsibility. "A few times," Cole said. "But every birth is different, and this is Luna's first foal." He paused, stroking the Mare's neck. "I have to admit, I'm a little nervous." Maya reached out and covered Cole's free hand with hers. "We've got this," she said, surprised by her own confidence. "Luna's strong, and she trusts us." Luna shifted restlessly, and Maya could see the foal's front legs beginning to emerge. The sight filled her with wonder and a little bit of fear. She had assisted with animal births at the clinic in Chicago, but never anything this important to her personally. "There we go, girl," Cole murmured to Luna. "You're doing great." The next hour passed in a blur of quiet encouragement, careful monitoring, and shared tension. Maya and Cole worked together as if they had been doing it for years, anticipating each other's movements and communicating with looks more than words. When Luna needed to shift position, Cole supported her weight while Maya adjusted the straw beneath her. When the foal's shoulders appeared and Maya worried about the baby getting stuck, Cole's steady presence kept her calm. They moved around each other in the small space with an easy rhythm that felt natural and right. "Almost there," Maya whispered, as more of the foal became visible. "Come on, Luna, your baby's almost here." Luna gave one more strong push, and suddenly the foal slipped free, landing in the straw with a soft thud. Maya felt tears spring to her eyes as she looked at the tiny, wet creature lying motionless in the straw. "Is it breathing?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. Cole was already moving, gently clearing the foal's nose and mouth. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the little creature took a shuddering breath and lifted its head, looking around with wide, curious eyes. "It's a filly," Cole said, his voice full of awe. "A beautiful little girl." Maya laughed through her tears, overwhelmed with relief and joy. "She's perfect." Luna immediately began nuzzling her baby, nickering softly and starting the important work of cleaning her newborn. The filly was bay-colored like her mother, with a white star on her forehead and one white sock on her back leg. "Look at that," Cole said softly. "She's got Luna's markings." Maya and Cole sat back on their heels, watching the miracle of a mother meeting her baby for the first time. The barn was quiet except for Luna's gentle sounds and the rustle of straw, as the filly tried to figure out how her long legs worked. "We did it," Maya said, hardly believing it was over. "You did it," Cole said, looking at her with something in his eyes that made Maya's heart skip. "I couldn't have handled this alone." "Yes, you could have," Maya said, "but I'm glad I was here." They sat in comfortable silence, watching as the filly attempted her first wobbly efforts to stand. Her legs seemed impossibly long and unsteady, but Luna encouraged her with gentle nudges and soft wickers. "What should we call her?" Maya asked. Cole was quiet for a moment, considering. "What do you think of Dawn?" "Since she was born in the early morning hours, and since you found Luna at dawn that first day?" Maya felt something warm bloom in her chest. "Dawn," she repeated. "I love it." As if she knew they were talking about her. The filly managed to get all four legs under her and stood swaying for a moment before taking her first unsteady steps toward her mother. Maya clapped her hands together in delight. "She's so brave," Maya said. "Takes after her mom," Cole said. "And the woman who saved them both." Maya turned to look at Cole, and something in his expression made her breath catch. The walls he usually kept around his emotions had come down, and she could see everything he was feeling written clearly on his face. "Maya," he said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "Okay," she whispered, her heart starting to race for reasons that had nothing to do with the full birth. "That first morning when I found you with Luna," Cole began. "I had been watching you for a while before I came down to help." Maya blinked in surprise. "You were watching me?" "From the hill," Cole admitted. "I saw you working to free Luna, saw how gentle you were with her, how you didn't hesitate to help even though you didn't know whose horse she was." He paused, running a hand through his hair. "I haven't felt anything for anyone since Rebecca died. I thought I never would again." Maya's heart was beating so hard she was sure Cole could hear it. Cole ... double quote, "But watching you that morning, seeing your kindness and your courage, something woke up inside me that I thought was gone forever," Cole continued. "These past few weeks, getting to know you, spending time with you, I've started to feel like myself again. Like maybe I could have a future that includes more than just work and memories." Maya felt tears pricking her eyes again, but these were different tears than the ones she had shed watching Dawn's birth. These were tears of hope and possibility. "I care about you, Maya," Cole said simply. "More than I thought I could care about anyone again. And I was wondering if maybe you might feel the same way." Maya reached out and took his hands in hers. They were strong hands, calloused from years of hard work, but gentle hands that could comfort a frightened horse or help deliver a foal in the middle of the night. "I do feel the same way," she said softly. "I came to Montana to hide from love, to protect myself from being hurt again. But you make me want to be brave?" Cole's face lit up with a smile that transformed his entire expression. "You are brave, Maya. You're the bravest person I know." Before Maya could respond, Cole leaned forward and kissed her gently. It was a soft, sweet kiss that tasted like new beginnings and promises of tomorrow. When they broke apart, Maya felt like her heart might burst with happiness. "Look," Cole said, nodding toward the stall. Dawn had found her way to Luna and was nursing for the first time, her little tail wagging with contentment. Luna looked tired but peaceful, the picture of a satisfied mother. "Perfect timing," Maya said, snuggling closer to Cole's side. As the sun began to rise outside the barn, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, Maya realized that she had found something in Montana that she never expected to find. She had found home. Not just a place, but a person who understood her heart and shared her love for the simple, beautiful things in life. 6 months later, Dawn was a strong, healthy filly who loved to run through the pastures with her mother. Maya had opened her veterinary practice in town and was already building a reputation as someone who truly cared about her patients. And on a warm spring morning, exactly 1 year after Maya had first found Luna tangled in that old barbed wire, Cole proposed to her. In the same meadow where their story had begun. Dawn and Luna were there to witness the moment, grazing peacefully nearby as Cole got down on one knee and asked Maya to be his wife. Their wedding was held at the ranch the following autumn, with Dawn wearing a garland of wildflowers and Luna looking on with what Maya swore was approval. As they exchanged vows under the Montana sky, Maya thought about how sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with the simplest act of kindness to a creature in need.